Thank you for giving me the floor. I have a question maybe about the policy, migration policy. I was wondering what do you think, why the Western European countries don't have, in fact, the migration policy? Is it too costly? Is it too sensitive issue? Is it something that politics cannot be in the flesh? What are the reasons? I remember I saw the process, how it looks like in Poland. Firstly, there were a lot of debates also with the representatives of the society. And then there were institutions responsible for creation of this kind of policy, and mostly institutions wouldn't like to feel responsible for it. And after that, there were many ideas, and then it is of course the money. We wouldn't like to spend a lot of money for this kind of policy. So where are the reasons that Western European countries, which are much more affected by migration, by Poland, and experienced migration much more, why they didn't have it? Why they don't use those experience of, as you said, Australia, United States? Why?
First of all, the interesting question. Yeah.
I have to get somebody for the train.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good watch.
It's not working.
Yeah. It's very aggressive in the minute it counts. No, first of all, it of course would be an interesting question to ask oneself whether Poland will in the next 10 to 12, 15 years will become more and more of a country that will attract migrants. So whether it has to prepare for that future. And of course, when we talk about labor migration, the basic idea would be that it wouldn't cost Poland very much, that it would be an economic advantage. That is of course the basic idea. I mean, refugees is a different category altogether in my view. That is something that costs the society because you, at least in the short term. I think the trauma, which has really become a trauma of the guest workers who came, didn't leave, became such a strong community without anybody having any kind of idea of long-term consequences, who became massively unemployed after '73, after the oil crisis, not because they didn't want to work. It's not a question of guilt, but simply by understanding this happened. There's a lot of research, and you can talk a long time about how you calculate it, but my guess is that the post-war immigration, the economic benefits of it were very slim, if not that it has cost West European societies far more than it has earned them. So that's a trauma, in many ways, that prevents now from soberly thinking about migration as a part of our future. Because migration is far too often seen as something that we cannot control anymore, that is beyond control. And I think that undermines enormously the public acceptance of migration as a willed plan, something you want, as a plan for the future of your society. So it's now basically construed, we live in a globalizing world, and if you don't accept migrants, they will come illegally, whatever, it's beyond control. And I think that creates an enormous aversion. And of course, the problem was with the migration, with opening to Central and Eastern Europe, was that people were not told what would happen. I can very well remember the discussions in 2000, 2003, 2004, etc. The argument was, well, there will be about 30,000 Polish people in Britain, 10,000 in the Netherlands, not more. It's definitely, you know, people said it would be far more, would say, no, you're lying, you're trying to scare people. It's definitely not true. think there are now 600,000 Polish people only in London, Greater London. Nobody told what the reality of the movement of people within this larger European Union would be. So people were never prepared. And now everybody's running behind the reality and trying, you know, welfare, tourism, and all kinds of political heated debates, because it was, you know, people were not prepared for the reality of migration within this enlarged union. I think that is one of the reasons why it became so difficult to propose anything like a migration project for our societies. And we now have some skilled migration schemes, very subdued, you know. But I think it's interesting to look at Canada. They have every year, they have 3 categories: humanitarian, let's see, refugees, skilled migration. What is the sort of skills we need? You have a point system, you know, if you are a very good carpenter, and there's a need of carpenters in Canada. You get a lot of points. If you have a different skill that is not needed, far less points, etc. To look at that and to think, you know, that's a second category, third category, family. Well, and they discuss every year or every second year how many migrants we need, we want in our country, what is the ceiling. But it's far more seen as a project for the society. And I think that is what we need to regain, perhaps not at a national, but then at a European level, a sense of migration as not something that comes over you. As Sarkozy said, immigration subie, mais immigration, what was his name? Voulu. Immigration that you want. So, but we will, I think, step by step regain a sense of, you know, that you cannot, because now people look at migration too much as only, and I think it's basically because our history, post-war history, in many people's view, was not very successful in terms of migration. So that shouldn't be an inhibition, you know, to think of migration with the view of the future. But it's difficult, you know, the second generation of Moroccan and Turkish community, they are now, you know, there are so many migrants now from Poland, from Romania, Bulgaria, etc., who want to work for wages that are definitely way beyond what normally is paid, with working conditions that are really, you know, setting us back in time 70, 80 years, with forced, you know, that you have to buy a meal, etc., pay for your living, etc., and then you end up at the end of the month with 300 euros for working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Those are not the working conditions where young people in the Netherlands, who are born in the Netherlands, will work for. So I empathize a lot with the efforts of our Minister Ascher, who wants to create a level, common level, for migrants and autochthonous labor force, because it's really a problem now that a lot of young people who could be working are now squeezed out of the labor market because others accept to work for conditions that are simply not realistic. Well, perhaps from the point of view if you don't have any other alternative. So those are some of the questions, problems with regard to immigration policy. Perhaps because I see so many, not falling asleep, but seriously struggling with the idea of going home. I don't know, I mean, I can go forever, only forever, but I leave it to the organizers and their wisdom to say enough is enough.
There is one more question, because anyway, another screening is going to start quite soon, so okay. The last question, if there is.
It's a natural.
Not.
Everything has been answered.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Scheffera. It was really refreshing also from the points of view of
human rights activist, it's very interesting to listen to someone who sticks by human rights values but is really not using all the mechanical ways of thinking about human rights and multiculturalism and migration. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.